right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's time series database essential webinar series. Today's topic is hands-on time series data forecasting with TDgpt. My name is Jim. I'm the VP of product for TDengine, and I'm very excited to welcome Joe today as the main presenter. Joe is our solutions architect. And for today's topic, let me give you a bit of a background. So a few weeks back, we introduced this new feature called TDgpt. It's essentially an AI agent that enables you to do some very advanced analytics with regards to AI or machine learning or within TDengine using just the SQL language. Before we start, I want to let you know that everything that we talked about today is on some of the blogs that we posted. So let me briefly share my screen to show you where that is. So if you go to tdengine.com, and if you go to solutions and go to learn more, this is our product page for TDgpt. And if you scroll down, you will find the two use cases that Joe will go through. And there is step-by-step tutorials by which you can go through that, for yourself. So if you go to click on this demo, Joe has created an article, a blog with very detailed instruction as to how you can replicate this whole demo completely by yourself. Everything is included. So Joe is going to also walk you through these two examples today in his live demo section. And if you have any questions regarding the presentation or the demo or TDgpt or product itself, use the chat. Please use the chat window to raise your questions. We'll have them either answered during the Q&A session or after the webinar following the event. Okay, now let me stop sharing my screen and bring the slides back on and turn it over to Joe.
Thanks, Jim. Excited to be presenting about TDgpt in our time series forecasting webinar series. So I'm Joel Brass, solutions architect at TDengine, and we're going to get hands-on with some code today. So we'll do an introduction to time series forecasting and talk a little bit about the TDgpt solution. Then I'll show you a architectural overview of what we're doing, followed by a hands-on demo and time for some Q&A. So forecasting time series data can be hard. There's some challenges around the CPU load and power consumption and the network traffic that is generated from it. There's also seasonality things that can happen in forecasting time series data that make it a little hard to do regular predictions. And sudden demands or spikes can make predictions seem irregular or incomplete. And a lot of modern ML complex setups are pretty complex. So that's why we've developed TDengine to deliver faster insights. Some use cases for forecasting, there are so many, but a lot of it is around predictive maintenance and forecasting. So the forecasting can be in renewable energy or battery state of health and state of charge prediction. For example, solar farms use forecasting to predict wind output and wind and power generation based on the historical output. So it can also be done on different time bases, whether it's hourly, daily, or weekly for the energy load forecasting. So beyond industrial and energy, there are also use cases in retail and finance. It can be used for sales forecasting, price optimization, and stock and crypto price prediction. So you're able to take advantage of short-term price movements using LSTM models or other different models. And as we mentioned before, forecasting is often used in IT and networking for anticipating loads and figuring out how to auto scale CDNs. Some examples of how and when this is used is for major product launches or major events. They can make forecasts based on historical data. So that's why we've developed TDgpt, which is AI forecasting native to TDengine. And you can use the built-in forecast function, just like a regular SQL function, to do time series predictions. You don't need any complicated Python setups or ML ops, just the normal SQL that you're already used to. And this will run directly on your time series data that's already in your database. And for forecasting, we have a number of different models that are available. We've built our own model, the TD time series foundation model, which is really great for general purpose accuracy and has been developed by us. And then we also have Holt-Winters and ARIMA models for more specific needs. And again, this is forecasting with SQL, not scripts. So how do you actually use it? Looking at a sample table that has a timestamp and an integer here, we can see that the data on the left, and we've got our forecast function with the syntax on the right. And so by using the forecast function with choosing the column and then the optional parameters, which are expressed as a string with different parameters set here. And the options might be specific to the model, but they're for forecasting variables here. So getting more specific into the parameters, the first one is the algo, which is which algorithmic model is used for forecasting, the default being the Holt-Winters. And we also have a white noise check, and then a few different parameters for the intervals. So like where to start and how often and how many rows to include, which the query will then add in a few pseudo columns for calculations that inform us of how the forecasting is being done. And then you can see from the example output here, the forecasts being made for our integer based on the ARIMA model here. So for our demo today, this is our architectural diagram of what I'll be demoing. We have an electricity demand data set in SQL that will be imported into TDengine with our TDgpt backend that is displayed into Grafana. But I'll also be running the analyze script, which will be injecting forecasted data that is being forecasted using the forecast function. All right. So for now, we will bring in the browser. Great. All right. So what we want to do is start by cloning the repository with the code. I've already got it cloned, so I'm just going to clone to a separate directory there. But you would clone the repository and then cd into it. There is the analysis script that will actually be running. We have to set the permissions on that. So we'll set that to be able to be run. And then from there, we're able to run Docker. that will bring up our TDengine instance, the TDgpt instance node that actually does the analysis. This is a new part of the TDengine ecosystem, and also brings up Grafana. From here, we have one additional command that we have to run that is going to tell our TDengine about the TDgpt. I've already run this. It already exists. You will get a confirmation when you run this. From here, we also have to copy the data onto our Docker container. So this is just copying data from the repository that we are in, and copying the analyze script into TDengine. And then we're also going to copy the demo data into our TDengine instance. And we copied that. And now we can actually run a command on our TDengine instance in order to populate it with the electricity demand data, the initial electricity demand data. So this is Docker execute on our TDengine instance, and it's actually calling the Taos executable and telling it to import the electricity demand data. So we just imported 230,000 rows in 1 second here. And all right, so now we're done with our setup and we're ready to start looking into the demo. So I have the Grafana here that I just started up using Docker. And I'm going to import the dashboard that comes with our repository.
Joe, are you going to share a different screen?
Yes, here we go. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, so now I'm in Grafana, and this was launched through the Docker compose command, and I'm going to import the JSON file that is included in the repository under the demo dashboards folder, the electricity demand forecast.json file, and this is included in the repository. So I'll import this here, and this is the initial data that we imported, the initial electricity demand, and this is what we're going to make our prediction on. So if we zoom in, we can see it. This is 1 year's worth of data, January 1, 24 to December 31st, 2024. And again, we'll zoom back out. And now I'm going to go back into our instance and run the script for the TD time series foundation model. So this is the model that we have developed ourselves. And so we're doing the Docker execution of the TDengine instance to run the analyze script that we were looking at before, and to do a forecast on our TDgpt demo table using the TSFM model. So this analyze script just passes this information into a forecast query, but runs it a lot, right? And so you can see here that it's doing a select and insert. So it's doing a select to do the forecast, but then inserting that data. Here we go. So I just paused it here for a second. So select forecast using the TD TSFM1 model and using 48 rows, no white noise check. And then that is being inserted into the TSFM1 results table. And we can also go back to Grafana and see that the prediction is now being written in real time. I'm going to set my refresh here of Grafana to 5 seconds. And as our analyze script is running in the other tab, here, let me show here, it's still running, processing and generating the demand into Grafana here, showing a historical forecast across this data.
And Joe, from a use case scenario perspective, so this is predicting, like, the forecasting the data for like the next year, or like what is it forecasting? Can you explain a little?
Yeah, so this is actually looking at the data. I believe this is every half-hour reading, and it's every day or every half hour when it's run, it's doing a new prediction for the next window. And you can see here that the predicted line is hugging the real line pretty closely here. And so it's generating a new forecast every, I believe it's every 30 minutes based on 48 periods for every day.
Okay.
And so this is using our foundation model developed by TDengine. And for comparison, we're also going to compare this to the Holt-Winters model, which is also built in and is a bit more of a general purpose model. So we'll run this here, go back to our console. So we've successfully inserted 1 year of data for the TDengine foundation model. I'm going to run the second command for prediction, which runs the same analyze script, now using the Holt-Winters algorithm and a 30-day window and a 1-day time step. So this is a slightly different type of prediction, but we can now come back to Grafana and see with our auto refresh on, see the Holt-Winters predictions coming in. And this is a much more general purpose model that suffers from some of the seasonality and stationarity things we were mentioning earlier. I think it could also be the sampling rate isn't so great for this type of data, but now we're also generating a second prediction on top of our original prediction here in another table.
Interesting. So would you say that this second Holt-Winters model is less accurate in this application compared to our TDengine's time series foundation model?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. If we zoom in, we can see that it's, doesn't seem to be that close. It's not as close here. We can see it seems to maybe sort of have some of the pattern here in that it's the jagged, but it seems to have some sort of seasonality or offset here because it's not predicting, it's not hugging the data here quite like the other one is with the Holt-Winters model. So we've done a lot of training on the time series foundation model to make it a bit more contextual to the data in the time series database.
Okay.
And yeah, these are two different models that we're launching with. We have, I believe, also the ARIMA is included, and more models will be being added to TDgpt throughout this year.
Cool. I got a question sent to me, who's asking if I want to use large language model in TDgpt. Is that achievable?
So I believe that's coming in the future. So large language models aren't great for doing time series data forecasting, but the team has done some experimentation with that, and I believe that that's in the future roadmap to add more large language model stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but not specifically for time series forecasting.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. All right. Yeah, this looks interesting. Is that the end of the demo?
Yeah, these are the two demos for forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
Related to this electricity demand forecast. Yeah, we'll probably be doing more forecasting webinars in the future as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, again, so everyone, if you have any questions for TDgpt or the webinar, please use the chat window to raise your questions, and yeah, we'll try to get them answered. And for the also for this today, the live demo, everything can be found on our website. It's just go to TDengine and search TDgpt. You have access to everything that Joe showed you, and it will be a step-by-step tutorial. You can even adapt the model for your own use case after you run through our tutorial example. You can use your own data source, ingest it into the process, and then find out and then choose the algorithm to do the time series forecasting based on your application. And then you will also be able to visualize that in Grafana using the structure that we provided. So that is definitely would highly encourage you to give it a try. All right. Another question coming my way is how many algorithms do we support currently with forecasting?
I believe there's the three, the TDengine Time Series Foundation, Holt Winters, and ARIMA. We did have a list in our last TDgpt webinar, but we can make that available. That is available.
Yes, I think there was a roadmap slide showing the number of algorithms that we're supporting for both anomaly detection and also for forecasting. It's available in our TDgpt product introduction webinar. If you're interested, let us know. We'll send you a link to that. It's also available on our TDgpt landing page. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is the new product release webinar recording at the bottom of that slide. Next question, what are the challenges in the integration of forecasting algorithms to database engines? It's a very good question.
Usually you have to pull your data out of the database and into some sort of other modeling system or scripts, right? And so this is an in database solution where the forecasting is being done in the query results versus in some sort of external library. I think that's external library versus built-in results, where you can get the prediction right inside your SQL analysis.
Mm-hmm. And we are in the process of integrating more algorithms into the different applications. If there are any particular algorithms that you would like us to include, send us an email. We will, we'll incorporate it into the next release. Next question, is there a use case for life science for forecasting, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on your data and what you're looking to forecast. yeah, we have customers in the life sciences space. So yeah, I'd have to find the actual application. Right. I think we could definitely come up with some application examples. I think ours were a bit more technical today, but that's a really good call out.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And if you have any particular application that you can think of for forecasting in life science, let us know. We'll be more than happy to create a demo for you. The next question: what kind of data was the TD? I think he was referring to the time series foundation model trained on, and how well might it generalize to use cases that it was not trained on? That's another very good question.
That's a great question. So I don't have an answer to what it was trained on, but it is a very general model, and we can find that out, what it was trained on. But it was trained on very large amounts of data over a long period of time.
Yes, and like for example, for today's application, this is like a set of data that was we didn't use this set of data to train our foundation model, right? So this is sort of using that foundation model for a particular application that is not part of the training database or data sets. But yeah, we'll definitely we'll find out more from our R&D team, and we'll get back to you on that. Next question. I missed the first 5 minutes. Is the slides or presentation available afterwards? Yeah, if you want a copy of today's slides, just send an email to me at, on the screen. It's jfan@tdengine.com. If you are interested to follow the exact same steps that Joe was, going through, let me actually share my screen again to show you where you can find it. All right, so if you want to go through today's demo by yourself, let me add it to the screen. Yeah. So just go to tdengine.com, type in tdengine.com, and then either through the top pop-up bar or go to solutions and then TDgpt, click learn more. You can get some general information about what is TDgpt, what kind of application or example it includes, and we'll scroll down a little bit to the use case section. This forecasting electricity demand, and if you see a demo here, just click try now. And this is exactly, so Joe created this blog in the first place, and that's what he went through today during the webinar. So if you want to replicate this whole process, there's a step-by-step tutorial. You can do the whole thing by yourself. And yeah, you don't need anything, no prerequisites needed. So all you need is a computer in order to do that.
A Docker. You'd have to have Docker.
You have to have a Docker, yes. Yeah. And this shows you how to do everything step by step, experience it by yourself. And if you have any questions, send us an email. We'll be more than glad to answer those questions for you. And our email is listed here on the window. Alrighty, okay. Cool. So thank you everyone for your participation. Again, if you have any follow-up questions, just feel free to send an email to the email address listed on the screen. We can send you the slides that we presented today or answer any questions you might have. And thank you for your participation. Again, we do this kind of a technical educational webinar. Right now, it's like every 2 weeks, every other week, there's a new topic that we would pick. It can be anywhere from like edge cloud synchronization, or like how to use SQL to do queries in TDengine, or from TDgpt education. We'll also have some very interesting collaboration webinars with our partnerships for data visualization, data analytics with our technology partners coming up in May. So that will also be very interesting. So stay tuned. If you want to subscribe to our webinar series, just go to TDengine and webinar, and you will find a list of webinars that we have on in the schedule right now. So again, thank you everyone for your participation, and thank you, Joe, for the very interesting webinar and demo. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Talk to you later. Yeah.